I started in operations, and so I worked hands-on as a control room operator, like controlling the plant. And then I switched over to instrumentation. So I did some studies at NAIT and became an instrument tech. But shortly after that, they promoted me to being a supervisor. And it kind of progressed, doing several different roles, leadership roles in planning, supervision, accounting, loss management. And then it kind of culminated in being a startup manager on an $8 billion project as the process automation manager. And that was from 2001 to about 2007. So that was one of my key accomplishments at Syncrude. And they had like hundreds of people, thousands probably, involved in getting the engineering, the construction, the commissioning and startup, and eventual handover to Syncrude of all the computer systems, all the control systems for that project. It was massive. It was actually pretty big. Physically, yes. It was huge, and was a lot of millions of dollars involved in the scope that I was responsible for. So it was a major accomplishment that not a lot of people have the opportunity to do jobs like that. The way Syncrude worked is that you had the mining section where they dug up the oil sands. I'll give you a little history. Then it went to the extraction plant where they separated the sand and the oil. Then it came into the upgrading area of the plant that actually broke the oil into gas and gas oil, different products that they removed the all the sulfurs, all the impurities to produce a sweet synthetic crude oil that was shipped. So my part of the job was all the plants that controlled all the equipment. You have controls and valves and computers. My job was to get all of these systems up and running, built and up and running. So it covered like all of the extraction, utilities. So the utilities plant is the one that produce all the steam, the electricity, the water to run the plant. So yeah, so the job I did touched all the upgrading plants. So during that particular project, we had several people from all parts of the world, which they were mostly like instrumentation people, because that was my scope, but also we had like planners, people who planned the job, people who scheduled the job, people who accounted for the dollars spent, and there were people from Trinidad, from Guyana, from Jamaica, from Barbados. It was all over the Caribbean that we hired, that I personally had a hand in hiring. So there were a lot of people from the Caribbean overall that worked at Syncrude. So when the plant was being built in the early days, there were a lot of contractors from the Caribbean that were part of building Syncrude. So the Caribbean are noted for having really, really excellent tradespeople, especially welders. So there were a lot of fellas from the Caribbean that actually helped to build Syncrude. You had welders and you had pipe fitters, electrical guys, instrumentation guys. So as a matter of fact, and also after the plant was built, so you have maintenance of all the different pieces of equipment. So on an ongoing basis, there were a lot of folks from the Caribbean who lived in Edmonton that actually came and stayed at the camps in Fort McMurray, and they, worked. There are still a lot of guys that I know that still do that.
Mm-hmm.
There were, guys in leadership positions at Syncrude, and I can't recall all their names and stuff now, but
Yeah.
there were a lot of folks from, like I say, all the islands and Guyana that contributed to the overall success and the production of the synthetic crude at Syncrude.
Mm-hmm.